Hi everyone, Sarah Beth Owens, Realtor here. Video is about the Northwest MLS in Washington State and the NAR settlement and what we are doing as the NWMLS. They are deciding to opt out of the NAR settlement, in which regards offering buyer brokerage compensation, all these kind of shenanigans that you've heard on the news, and just a bunch of mess of stuff. It's very confusing. So I just kind of want to break down a little bit of what this new news means for our Washington based clients. So the NWMLS has kind of done a lot of changes over the last couple of years. In 2019, they eliminated the requirement that a seller offer compensation to a buyer's broker. It wasn't a requirement to do so. And they kind of decoupled the broker compensation, meaning that any compensation the seller chooses to offer a buyer broker is set and paid for by the seller, not the listing broker. So it's always up to the seller of what fees they want to pay. We make our suggestions and advice, but the seller is paying them, so it's negotiable. In January of this year, we made it a requirement for the agency law that buyers enter into written service agreements with their realtors. Previously, it wasn't a requirement. It has always been a requirement for the seller to enter into a service agreement with their realtor, but it wasn't for buyers until January of this year. So our compensation is spelled out in those terms on the buyer's agency agreements, buyer's brokerage agreements, however you want to state that. And then in regards to transparency, I think that was the biggest thing of this whole thing is transparency. How the NAR kind of presented is that we weren't able to post the buyer brokerage compensation if a seller is willing to pay that on the MLS for buyer brokers and buyers to see. Right now, it's very transparent on all ad sites and stuff. You can see what a buyer's brokerage compensation is posted, that amount of what a seller is willing to pay. That was going to go away with this NAR changes, but the MLS and NWMLS is choosing not to do that. And so we are going to keep that transparency, which I think is really important. They felt so too in regards to fair housing and just being open and transparent with that whole process. We also have that on our purchase and sale agreements. We're writing an offer. It states our compensation on that purchase and sale agreement, and that we can negotiate with the seller at that point too. So transparency is key. They made some great decisions. It's kind of business as usual that we've been doing and practicing in Washington, which is great. But if buyers are getting into the market and want to chat more about what this looks like for them, give us a call. And sellers as well, if you want to chat with what it looks like to sell your house and what all the fee breakdown and everything is gonna look like, pros and cons on offering up that buyer brokerage compensation, give us a call. We're happy to chat.